Hey, BookTube, Sean here, coming to you with my weekly wrap-up. But first things first, I passed the 100 subscriber threshold this week. On Tuesday, I think I hit 100 subscribers. So I just wanted to take a quick moment and say thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I know I thank everybody at the end of every video, but I just wanted to take just a quick moment and say and express thank you to everybody who has subscribed thus far. I didn't think I'd ever get 100 subscribers. I didn't think I'd get 50 subscribers, let alone 100. So it still baffles my mind that there's, I think, 105 of you out there right now who saw one of my videos and liked what I had to say enough to want to hit the subscribe button so that you could see more of what I had to say. So thank you. It means a lot to me. It really does. But let's get into the weekly wrap-up. I finished one book this week. It was The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, so not a Tome Topple book. I am actually failing spectacularly at Tome Topple, and I kind of feel like I just kind of need to drop it because I have some arcs I need to get read, and I'm discovering that I'm not built for readathons, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead is won multiple awards now. A National Book Award, Pulitzer Prize, the Arthur C. Clarke Award, and is one of the Man Booker long-listed books, and I would say probably a favorite to win, in my opinion, based on its award history and its current timeliness. And just, I don't feel like I can talk about this book right now without sending out my thoughts and heart and prayers to everybody affected by what happened in Charlottesville this weekend. The fact that there is still that much hate towards people different from us in this country, let alone in the world, just is astonishing. I can't believe it felt like we went back 150 years this weekend, and it really reminded me of one scene in particular in the Underground Railroad. And if you've read the book, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. So, moroseness aside, the Underground Railroad is about a slave escape. It's a speculative historical fiction novel. Speculative in the aspect that the slaves escape using an underground railroad that is not the Underground Railroad made famous in history by Harriet Tubman, but an actual physical underground railroad. It's a great book. The story is fantastic. Colson Whitehead is just a fantastic writer. He has an ease of language in his writing that makes this heavy subject matter very immensely readable. He does not shy away from the atrocities that were committed during this time. But you never feel it. I mean, you feel uncomfortable, and you should. You should feel uncomfortable reading this book. You should feel uncomfortable reading this book. So I would not say it's a book for people who don't like to feel uncomfortable when reading. Everybody wants. If you're a reader that just wants to feel enveloped and warm and cozy, stay away from this book. But I think it should be read. I think in literature and in the arts, as an actor myself, I think we should feel uncomfortable when experiencing art at sometimes. But the only issue I really had with the book was the speculative aspect of it. I felt that he could have handled. I wanted more of the speculative aspect of the book. But since the title was The Underground Railroad, I wanted it to be a bit more about that speculative aspect of the Underground Railroad being an actual Underground Railroad, because that's a really cool concept, and I think there could have been more of it in the book. But I have a full review of the book up on my blog, and I'll link the post in the description. And that's the only book I got read this week. I worked a little bit on Tome Topple books, but I think what happened is I decided to do Tome Topple. I had ARCs to read. I had Man Booker long list books I wanted to read, and all of those holds at the library were coming in at one time, and I got so overwhelmed with stuff that I wanted to do that I just shut down. I had a lot of time to read this week, and I didn't read nearly as much as I could have this week. I watched TV. I just shut down, and I tend to do that when I get overwhelmed. I just shut down, and until my brain can start to think and handle things again. So what made me realize is I'm not built for readathons. I'm not built to set up a list of books that I'm going to read in this time frame and stick to that list of books. I am very much a mood reader. That's why I always have 7-8 books going at a time. It's because I'm not in the same mood from day to day. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm in the same mood for a week or more. It just depends. But that's why I always have a lot of books going at one time. I always have books going to fit different moods. So I just think I need to go back to that, not setting TBRs for stuff, just picking up what I feel like picking up at the time I feel like picking it up, with the exception of ARCs that I need to read, because I'm requesting galleys from NetGalley, and so if there's an ARC I need to read by a certain time, that's an exception, and that'll be something that I requested. So it's something I want to read. And the exception of planned buddy reads, because there's a certain scheduling aspect to buddy reads. It has to be a good time for all parties involved. So with those couple of exceptions, I'm just going back to picking up what I feel like picking up when I feel like picking it up, and I'll go through after I do my haul. I will go through some of the books that are just kind of on my radar right now. But books I have picked up, I actually forgot this part of the video last week, and I only picked up one physical book anyway. I tend to just cover the physical books in this. So yeah, I had only picked up one physical book anyway, so I'll just hit it here. So the first book I picked up that I missed in the last video was Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. And this is the September pick for April of Getting Hookahs with its Dying to Read book club. So I grabbed a used copy of this book off of Amazon. It was like $4 or $5 with free shipping. So it's in pretty good condition. Just a little bit of wear. Yeah, I'm actually, like, if I had seen it in a used bookstore in this kind of condition, I would have grabbed it definitely. So yeah. Well, and you know what I know some people. I haven't gotten complaints about it myself, but I have heard other booktubers say that they get complaints sometimes about reading the back of books. But that's what I'll probably do for the most part if I want to describe something to you is read the back, because not having read it, I don't feel comfortable enough trying to describe it, because I'm just going off of what I read on the back. I'm just trying to summarize what I read on the back and tell you about a book that I haven't read. So for now, I'm just gonna that's the best way I can think to tell you about the book and get you interested in it too, is the same way that I got interested in it. So Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. This was a movie at one point, but in the year 1954, U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels and his new partner Chuck All come to Shutter Island, home of Ashcliff Hospital for the criminally insane, to investigate an unexplained disappearance. Multiple murderess Rachel Solando is loose somewhere on this barren island, despite having been kept under constant surveillance in a locked, guarded cell. As a killer hurricane bears relentlessly down on the island, hints of radical experimentation and covert government machinations add darker, more sinister shades to an already bizarre case, because nothing in Ashcliff Hospital is remotely what it seems. That sounds totally intriguing to me. And I have read some Dennis Lehane before. None of his standalone books. I've read the first few books in his, was it Gennaro and Mackenzie, I want to say, series. Starting with A Drink Before the War and the first couple books of that series. And I really enjoyed those. So I'm excited to get into one of his standalone books. The next book I picked up was Slate House by David Mitchell. I got this on clearance at Barnes & Noble. I had some time to kill and went to Barnes & Noble. And I've been wanting to read some David Mitchell. I have Cloud 9 on my Kindle. But this was like $6 or $7 on clearance at Barnes & Noble. And I'm going to read you the back because it sounded really interesting to me. Down the road from a working-class pub along a narrow brick alley, you just might find the entrance to Slate House. A stranger will greet you by name and invite you inside. At first, you won't want to leave. Later, you'll find that you can't. Every 9 years, the residents of Slate House extend an invitation to someone who's different or lonely. A precocious teenager, a recently divorced policeman, a shy college student. But what really goes on inside? For those who find out, it's already too late. Spanning decades, leaping genres, and barreling toward an astonishing conclusion, Slate House is a haunted house story as only David Mitchell could imagine it. And again, I don't know anything about David Mitchell's writing, so I don't know how he could imagine a haunted house story, but I love haunted house stories. So I'm kind of excited to pick this up at some point. Next is I got Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This book has been on my mind a lot lately. I really don't know a lot about what it's about. I'm not even going to read the back because even the back I don't think gives a great explanation of, but I've heard great things about this book. Remains of the Day is on one of my award winners lists that I need to read, but I've heard so many good things about Never Let Me Go that for some reason it's just been on my mind a lot. So it was on sale on Amazon for $5.98, and I was doing an order anyway, so I just added it to it. Next are my books that I got from Book of the Month Club. I joined Book of the Month Club last month, and I signed up for 2 months at a time. So at my first sign up, I had to pay for 2 months. So since I had already paid for this month, I went ahead and added a couple of books to my box. So I got 2 of this month's selections and 1 of last month's selections. And if you're interested in Book of the Month Club, I will leave a link to Book of the Month Club in the description. And full disclosure, it is a link that if you join Book of the Month Club through that link, I get a free book credit. So if you're uncomfortable with that, go to the Book of the Month Club website on your own. No worries. But if you want to help me get free book credits, that's awesome, and I thank you. But yeah, that is what the link I'm going to leave will do. If you join using that link, I will get a free book credit. So just full disclosure on that. But my book that I picked is The Harts, Invisible Furies by John Boyne. This is the author who wrote The Boy with the Striped Pajamas. And I'll just read real quick what it says. Cyril Avery is not a real Avery, or at least that's what his adoptive parents tell him, and he never will be. But if he isn't a real Avery, then who is he? Born out of wedlock to a teenage girl cast out from her rural Irish community and adopted by a well-to-do, if eccentric Dublin couple via the intervention of a hunchbacked redemptorist nun, Cyril is adrift in the world, anchored only tenuously by his close friendship with the infinitely more glamorous and dangerous Julian Woodbead. At the mercy of fortune and coincidence, he will spend a lifetime coming to know himself and where he came from, and over as many years will struggle to discover an identity, a home, a country, and much more. In this, Boyne's most transcendent work to date, we are shown the story of Ireland from the 1940s to today through the eyes of one ordinary man. The Harts, Invisible Furies is a novel that sparks both laughter and tears while reminding us all of the redemptive power of the human spirit. I really enjoy I wouldn't say call this a family saga because it's one man's story. But I enjoy those kind of stories that follow a person or a family through decades and just covers that life story. So this sounded really interesting to me, so that's why I picked it for my book of the month pick. One of the books that was also an option is called The Blinds, and this one is: imagine a place populated by criminals, people plucked from their lives with their memories altered, who've been granted new identities and a second chance. Welcome to the Blinds, a dusty town in rural Texas populated by misfits who don't know if they perpetrated a crime or just witnessed one. What's clear to them is that if they leave, they will end up dead. For 8 years, Sheriff Calvin Cooper has kept an uneasy peace, but after a suicide and a murder in quick succession, the town's residents revolt. Cooper has his own secrets to protect, so when his new deputy starts digging, he needs to keep one step ahead of her, and the mysterious outsiders who are threatening to tear the whole place down. The more Cooper learns, the more the hard truth is revealed. The Blinds is no sleepy hideaway. It's simmering with violence and deception, aching heartbreak, and dark betrayals. So it's essentially a book about a town where these criminals and people hiding from criminals are put and their memories erased. So, sounds really good. Kind of almost a sci-fi feeling crime novel. So that sounded really good, so I went ahead and grabbed that. And last month, I had wanted to pick this one up too. I just couldn't afford the 2 months of the book of the month and to add another book to my box. But this is called American Fire, and this is a true crime novel about an arsonist. These fires that were being set in Accomack County, and this doesn't say what state Accomack County is in, does it? Oh, Accomack County, Virginia. So this, I enjoy true crime novels, and this sounded really intriguing, because it's about how the town dealt with these fires, how it affected them, and the story of the people who they discovered were committing the arsons. And that is the books that I have gotten. Of course, there's always Kindle books that I pick up because I am a Kindle deal whore. So, but I have trouble even remembering which Kindle books I bought within a week. So, if you ever really want to know or really want me to cover what Kindle books I bought, let me know, and I'll try to keep better track of that. It hasn't been a lot this week, but I'll try to make sure I write those down somewhere and cover those in my wrap-up, in my weekly wrap-ups too. But anyway, things that are on the horizon for me, things that I want to, that are kind of on my radar. First things first, my focus is going to be finishing the arcs that I have. Sea of Rust is what I'm working on right now by C. Robert Hargel, and I should finish that today or tomorrow. And then Tuesday, The Stone Sky comes out. So, as I said before, no book exists. No other book exists while I read that. So I'll probably spend 2-3 days, reading The Stone Sky. And then after that, I'm going to go back to my arcs, finish up Revenant Winds by Mitchell Hogan, and then get into The Golden House by Salman Rushdie. Those are the 3 arcs I need to read before they come out on September 5th. All of them come out on the same day. So that's why I'm pushing to get those ones read and reviewed. So September 5th, expect 3 different review videos from me. I might do the other 2 a little bit staggered. The other 2 being Sea of Rust and Golden House, because the publishers didn't specify a date that they wanted the reviews up, so I might stagger those within the week leading up to their release. And if I don't, I'll have 3 review videos going up on September 5th. But Mitchell Hogan specifically said he wanted reviews on the day of release. So, So that will be videos and blog posts that I'll do for each of those. But other than that, things that I'm thinking about getting into after I get through those, and this is going to end up being a video on the longer side, and because I felt I needed to address the Charlottesville thing. And I'm rambling a lot too. So anyway, The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams is on my radar. It's been on my radar for a while. I kind of really want to get into this. The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. This is the first book in his Demon Cycle series, which the final book, the fifth and final book, is coming out real soon. I know ARCs just went out of it. But I've been wanting to get into that for a while, so that's really, I've been really thinking about that one lately. Justin Cronin's The Passage, and this one is a chunker. But I've really been wanting to get into it. I was hoping to get this read before the TV show starts. I don't think that's going to happen, but I have been really wanting. I keep thinking about this one too. Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. Sorry. This I've been thinking about this a lot since I picked it up at Detroit Book Fest. Seems really intriguing to me, so that's one I've been thinking about. I've really been thinking about Dragon Springs Road by Janie Chang lately, so I kind of want to get into that. And all this is going to depend on, and I may be reading a few of these at the same time. You never know with me. Has anyone been watching American Ripper on History Channel? I was home from work Wednesday with a migraine, and once I started feeling better, I turned on, I cut the cord of cable last week, but I have set up Sling TV, and when you do it through Amazon Fire, you get you can pay $5 extra and get 50 hours of cloud DVR. So that's they're not paying me to say that or anything. That's just what I did. But anyway, so I was taping American Ripper because we were testing out the Sling for a few months to see, if it was going to work as an option for us before we decided to cut the cord. But so I had every episode of American Ripper that's aired so far on my cloud DVR. So I decided what I was going to do is I was going to turn something on in the background and work on my review for Underground Railroad. And I got so intrigued by the American Ripper, and it's what it is H.H. Holmes' great-great-grandson is investigating a theory he has that America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes, is Jack the Ripper. That they're one and the same person. And it is so intriguing, and things are seeming to line up where he could have possibly been Jack the Ripper. And it seems to make total sense that Britain's first serial killer could also be America's first serial killer. So it has made me really want to finally get into The Devil in the White City, which is about the Chicago World's Fair and H.H. Holmes and how he used the Chicago World's Fair to draw people into his murder castle. So I think I'm finally going to get into this real soon because the show is making me want to do that. Other than that, things on my Kindle that I've been thinking about getting into, The Vegetarian by Han Kang, Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, Maroda by L. McNeil. You've heard me talk about that one a lot recently, so I kind of really want to get into that. Mage's Blood by David Hare is one I've been wanting to get into for a long time, and it's on my fantasy bingo, so I may get into that soon. I really want to finish Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. I still haven't finished that. Speaking of haven't finished, I still have this going on. I'm still close to 800 pages away from the end. I don't think I'm going to finish it before the movie comes out. I don't think I care if I finish it before the movie comes out. I will finish it eventually. But it seems so unnecessarily long to me that I'm just struggling to get through it. And I've been hearing a lot about the author Victor LaValle recently. If any of you have read any Victor LaValle, let me know. And the one I have of his is Ballad of Black Tom, but that is a book based on the story Murder at Red Hook by H.P. Lovecraft, so I kind of want to read Murder at Red Hook first, which I have a collection. I have an anthology of H.P. Lovecraft, so that's no problem. I can read that real quick. It probably take me about a half an hour to read that story. But yeah, so that's the things I've been thinking about that have been on my mind recently that I've been in the mood to read. If you've read any of those, please let me know your thoughts on them. If you see anything here that you've been thinking about reading and you might want to do a buddy read, let me know. We'll see if we can make it work. And like I said, you can either let me know in the comments or hit me up on private message in Twitter or Goodreads, and we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can make it work. But other than that, that's it. That's my weekly wrap up. Thank you again to everybody who has subscribed, and I wish you all good reading. I'll see you all in my next video.